Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to kind of jump into part one of what I am doing to try to make sense and understand what's going on right now. So I am going to screen share. Okay, so we are going to begin. This is a Sebastian Robbins. Why do I keep doing that? Sebastian Rogers case update, discussing the new alliance, my thoughts on why there is an alliance, and some fact checks. This is a part one, so I'm hoping to try to get through this quickly. So, the alliance. Who proposed the alliance? It was not Seth. Everybody keeps saying he's doing this strategically. Chris Proudfoot proposed the alliance. He proposed putting differences aside. I believe that the words that Seth used at the vigil were repeated words that may have been used in one way or another in his interaction with Chris. Is this a tactical move on behalf of Seth? I don't believe so. Seth wasn't the one that proposed it. Could it end up being one like Seth hopes it to be? Maybe. I don't believe it will, and I'm going to get into why. Why would Chris want to align with Seth? Something that's very important to a person that has a history of manipulation and abuse is control. Controlling the narrative, controlling resources, and controlling the information that is discovered by those resources. The ability to steer the investigation, redirect resources, the embarrassment of losing custody rights to Nina for his daughter Faith. He has confirmed abuse on Sebastian. In the eyes of a family court, this may aid in corroborating her story. That would be Nina. This may open both Chris and Katie to legal action by Seth in regard to Sebastian. Wait, you just have it out for them. That's what people say. Let's look at some facts. March 20th, 2024, Smiley Story World YouTube interview. I am going to play certain parts of this interview, and I do this because it's over 3 hours. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot process this that long in one go. So I'm going to play what I think are the most important, and you can certainly go and visit and watch. So let's see here. Trying to keep this kind of quick for you guys because I know I can be rather wordy.
Watch live and local news on a variety of networks with no extra cords, hidden fees,
I'm going to go to an hour and 7 minutes in.
I don't know how to say this any other way, and please forgive me because it's going to sound
like say it.
It's going to sound very jerkish, but I don't want softball questions. People wanted to ask me the hard questions. By golly, let's get these hard questions out. Sorry, but I just...
So I know that he said he didn't want the softball questions, which I agree. I am sick and tired of interviews not taking the opportunity to ask the hard questions.
Let me start. Okay. Have you ever had CPS called on you before?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you don't have to go into it elaborate or anything like that. I just, that was the question that I had. And that happens, sometimes.
10720.
Especially when you have a child who is, has special needs and stuff. That's hard.
I've had it. Well, I'll be honest with you. I've had CPS called on me in 2 states, New Mexico and Tennessee.
And and did that include with Sebastian?
Tennessee was Sebastian, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And in fact, Sebastian here, like I said, I got nothing to hide. So Sebastian went to school one day because we were at the house. He got in trouble. He didn't have a belt on. I was like, "Where's your belt?" And got it. Whack. Got him. So he goes to school and he tells the teacher. They're mandatory reporters. So the teacher reports it. That afternoon, CPS shows up to the house while we're actually sitting down to eat dinner. Now, mind you, 15-year-old child.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here. In this interview, they asked if he had ever had CPS called on him. He answered yes. He goes on to state that he's had CPS called on him in 2 states. Now, as is typical of an abuser and a manipulator, I sat back and I waited for victim blaming. Were my observations correct that this short response would be followed by victim blaming? Well, yes. He asked him, "Where's your belt?" Whack, got him, goes to school, tells his teacher. He should have. Chris continues, "They're mandatory reporters, so the teacher reports it." Well, amen. Amen for the teacher. Sebastian was harmed and he reported step number 1 was in the correct direction. His teacher reported it. Step 2 in the correct direction. I praise his teacher for making that difficult call. Chris continues, that afternoon, CPS shows up to the house while they were sitting down to eat dinner. Actually sitting down to eat dinner. I stress actually as I struggle why that word was emphasized. Mind you, Chris says, 15-year-old child, he's not real happy because he's in trouble. He's being punished. You'll have to hear how he says punished. There's quite an emphasis on it.
He's not real happy because he's in trouble, so he's being punished. So he shows, he makes a report. They come to the house, and the lady who comes to the house is the same lady we've had. She's had a case before.
Same lady, they've had a case before.
Now, the case that was before was something that didn't even happen, and it's like 3 stories that was shoved into one. And when they finally got it debunked, they were like, "Oh, he got so mixed up in telling one story, it mixed into 3 and it caused a commotion." Well, they canceled that out. So the one on me, she shows up, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" It's her again. She's like, "Oh, hey." She goes, "Hey, I already don't." She's like, "Don't tell me anything, but I'm gonna tell you what I know happened." And I said, "Okay." She goes, "Blah, blah, blah." She told me exactly what happened. I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "Oh my God." I said, "Yes, ma'am. This is how it's been." Sebastian thought by telling on me, making it sound like I was so horrible.
Oh, you cut out. You cut out just a minute.
So what is happening here is...
Cut out. Oh, there you go. Okay.
That I was going to get in trouble over something stupid. And I was like, "No, Sebastian."
Over something stupid. So this kid reports, sounds like the first time was against his mom, second time was against him. He's doing everything he should do. And what are they doing? They are making this boy sound like he could not possibly be telling the truth. He could not possibly be making sense. Oh, because he has autism, he must be lying.
You got punished, man. You got punished. And he was like, but, and I was like, you got punished. And the lady took him outside. She goes, Sebastian, just because you get in trouble and you get punished, you need to understand when you go and you say things about people and you lie and you fabricate things and you make it sound worse than what it is, sir, you can get in trouble for that.
So I would love to hear from the CPS worker to find out if that's what actually happened, because let me tell you, if she told this kid that, she should be gone. This kid is crying out, trying to get help, and he's dismissed. I would very much like to know who's telling the truth about what was said to Sebastian. And so far, the focus has nothing to do in this interview. We are over an hour in this interview, and we're still not really talking about what led to Sebastian's disappearance. What is he wearing? Those types of things. And then he continues to say that the case was for something that didn't even happen. It was like 3 stories in one. They debunked the story. At the 1 hour, 12-minute mark, Katie defends Chris, stating she did not let her husband beat him with the belt. He did not beat him with the belt, she says. Does Chris's abusive and manipulative behavior make him guilty of doing something harmful to Sebastian on February 25th or 26th? It does not make him guilty in that regard. But do I believe there are valid reasons he would have to preserve himself in this case? Yes. Do I believe that he might need to protect Katie? Yes. Do I believe that if it meant he could avoid getting in legal trouble, that he would turn on Katie if a deal was presented to him and he had the evidence that she did something? Yes. Do I believe that he has reasons for wanting to align with Seth to gain access to Seth's private investigator? Yes. At the 1 hour and 14-minute mark in this video, the guest discusses a Facebook Messenger conversation that he had with Chris Proudfoot. Like a master manipulator, Chris does what so many great liars do. He explains he didn't lie. He played on the exact phrasing of what the question was in order to lie, in my opinion, by omission. I detest that. So let's jump to that one, because unfortunately, like I said, this is such a long video.
Necessarily, unless CPS was already involved. So now, you're not really being honest.
Wait a minute. You asked me, because I'll read the messages to everybody in God and Country. You asked me if there was an active CPS case on Sebastian. That's what you asked. And I told you, yes, there was. Because the sheriff's department told us that they had to report it because he was missing. That's what you asked. Now, you also started to ask if there was another case. And there was no other case that I know of that's active. That's what you asked.
Yes, this is an awkward silence.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, like I said, sir, I'm brash. I'm to the point. Be respectful.
Can you hear
and
me?
I will tell you, and I'll be honest, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I got nothing to hide.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, he said, okay. Can you hear him, Josh?
I can hear him, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Well, I just said, well, in the messages that I asked that it was pertaining to Sebastian's school, right? Like you just said. And you said, no, other than him going missing, no CPS cases.
So look, you can go listen to the whole video yourself, but this is a liar and a manipulator, in my opinion. 1 hour, 27 minutes. What did I catch here? Maybe you'll catch it too. Okay.
First, that's a safety thing.
Yeah, I
But
understand that. Don't do that.
yeah, but what I can say is there's only 2 doors in the house that he could have gone.
Okay, it's happening in 10 seconds where I hear on my end him say that he starts to say everybody would have heard it. But I feel like he stopped right after the word everybody and corrected himself. And he also notes that cameras would have picked him up, Sebastian, depending on what door he would have exited out of. And my question is why would Sebastian be aware of what neighborhood cameras would video him at certain doors?
Gone out where he could have locked
from the
on his
outside.
own from the outside. And the one, he wouldn't have gone out because of how much noise it makes.
Yeah.
Everybody would have, plus it would have been seen on camera. Let's put it that way.
Everybody would have. Did you catch that? I caught it. So again, if you need to go back to that, that's at the 1 hour, 27 minute mark, 51 seconds. Chris states later, I came home February 26th. He makes this direct comment. In my opinion is, arguably, if he arrived at 12:01 a.m. on the 26th, he came home on the 26th. He would not be lying. He could pass a polygraph if he was asked, when did you come home? February 26th. 1 hour, 34 minutes. Give me a good one. He's looking for more questions, taking enjoyment out of having an answer for everything. An hour, apologize, there's something going on in the background here. Hour and 34 minutes. I don't have any domestic violence in my background, period. Hour and 37 minutes. From midnight to 6, being on the phone with Katie. Being on the phone with her prior, I can answer these questions. He said from midnight to 6, and then he added, being on the phone with her prior. This is because he was asked, why are you speaking for her if you were not there? And he's saying from midnight to 6, I can answer these questions. How? You weren't there and she was sleeping. Hour and 45 seconds. He told me to mute my phone per Katie when the call was made to the sheriff. 2 hours and 10 minutes in, does he deny assaulting his ex, Rachel? From my end, you can go listen to it. 2 hours and 10 minutes in, he exclaims that this suggestion was coming out of nowhere, but somebody was repeatedly saying in the chat that she was left bloody. And instead of answering the direct assault question, he started talking about, well, like my one relative still talks to her relative, and her. 2 hours, 23 minutes in, they commented that they were kind of sick of everybody because they're drawing the focus away from Sebastian and putting the focus on, well, who could have done it? Who could have done something? Well, frankly, in my opinion, if you find the person that committed the crime, if there is one, you find Sebastian. 2 hours and 33 seconds in, the first time he keeps his mouth shut. Why did you not want him around your daughter, Faith? It was a question to him. He would not discuss it. And he reiterated again at 2 hours and 39 minutes that law enforcement told him this will be a case that will be researched for years to come. Is that true? I don't know. I continue to go back and forth on the alliance and the comments on my previous video and everyone's feelings and thoughts. And I come to this conclusion. There's no evidence he walked out of the door, but they're so determined to get everyone to believe he walked out of the door. And whether it is for self-preservation, to gain access to private investigators, to gain access to inside knowledge that might come ahead, whatever it is, I do not believe he proposed this partnership for any genuine reason, for any positive reason. I don't believe he proposed it to find Sebastian. And you will see in the part 2 of this breaking down of why I believe what I'm believing now. You could listen to so much and just listen to the way he talks about Sebastian without using his name, calling him her son, his son, that boy, that young man, distancing himself from it. And I believe he wants to distance himself from any attention on this. And I do believe if he was offered a deal and Katie was the person who committed this, I absolutely believe he would throw her under the bus if he got to walk away from this scot-free. So again, I tried to make this quicker because I know I get super wordy sometimes. Sorry about that. So I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in your comments, even if they're not the same as mine. But I believe that the truth is in what people are saying, what they're doing, their actions, what they're not doing. Because the truth there's not one shred of evidence to indicate he walked out that door. So while I believe searches should continue, I believe that everybody needs to be looking. And it's not because we should not be sugarcoating this. We should not be trying to protect anybody. I don't care if their title is mom, dad, stepdad, stepmother, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. If they have not been cleared as possible suspects directly by law enforcement, which none of them have, despite many statements by Chris to the contrary, that means they're still being looked at by law enforcement. That means there is still a possibility the answer lies with them. So we are not wrong for looking at them. I don't care if you look exhausted. I don't care if they're not charged with anything. That doesn't mean that they cannot be looked at and considered and evaluated. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, even if you disagree, because there's answers. But I don't think being Sebastian's voice, finding Sebastian, bringing Sebastian home, I believe the answers are known to the one person who laid eyes on him last. And I believe if we go through this enough and piece this all, take it apart, put it back together again, I think we're going to start uncovering the answers that are sprinkled in the things that they have said to date. So you might disagree with me. You might agree with me. I'm trying to be logical. I'm trying to make sense. Because the reality is if Sebastian is alive and he is saved and brought home as a result of people not worrying about protecting any adults, worrying about protecting this child and trying to look into what he said and the things he reported and all of these things, that is being on Team Sebastian. Pretending that everybody's innocent when no one has, it's not been stated these people are innocent, that's picking parental sides. That is not Team Sebastian in my mind. So I can appreciate everybody. Don't say this one's Amy's tired, he's exhausted. These ones haven't been charged. Leave them alone. You have to look. You have to follow the breadcrumbs, the trail. We have to be honest, and we have to look where we have to look. And so that's my opinion. There'll be more. And if you're following the Montez Hurt case, I am going to be restating some of my thoughts on that at a later video, maybe this evening, because I have really poor quality when I recorded that. And I think there were some valuable ideas on where to look for him to get him home. So thoughts, opinions, share them with me. I'd love your feedback. We can work together and share our thoughts and ideas and maybe find some answers. I read them. I take note of them. Even if I'm not in the right open mindset, I go back to reconsider what somebody might said to try to be open-minded. So please share. This is how we can get to the truth. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say.